Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach and the host of the Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I want to share something with you, and let me be crystal clear to leave an everlasting impact upon you. Just imagine being buried alive. You're in a coffin, but you know you're not dead. You don't know how to get out of that coffin. You tried lifting the lid, but the enormous weight upon the lid prevents you from opening. You tried banging on the lid to unsettle the dirt that's upon the lid. Maybe somebody will start digging their way down to helping you. This is what it's like to find yourself at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help. You know you can't do it on your own, but you don't know where to turn for help. In reality, there are probably people standing right near your grave. You just don't know that. You just think you're going to die. Usually, though, people don't think about death when they're habitually abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind while you're abusing drugs and alcohol that maybe, just maybe, you might overdose and take your life away? And if that's not selfish enough, more selfishly is to take your life away from the people that love and count on you most. People like your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, husband, wife, children, and grandchildren. With this, let me leave one last thought. Don't be like the person I just read about on these index cards that waited and waited until it was too late. Instead, pick up the phone and call me at 844-405-HELP, and I promise you I'll help you take your life back, for your life is gone. People like Larry Geis with over 30 years experience as a life coach, addiction recovery coach. Call him at 516-458-2741 or go to his website, www.odysseyconsultant.org. Larry Geis and I tell folks like you constantly, it doesn't matter where you've been, it doesn't matter where you came from. What matters is that you're here looking for a better today and a brighter tomorrow. Call him at 516-458-2741. Larry Geis from the Geis Academy. Folks, don't forget when you take your slippers off at night to stick them under your bed. Do not just leave them at the edge of your bed. Because when you stick them under your bed, it forces you to drop to your knees in the morning to retrieve them. And while you're on your knees, please spend a little time with God. Use what I call knee mail, K-N-E-E mail, as a time to ask God for guidance and direction, forgiveness and mercy, to thank God for having a home, food, clothing, and a relationship, and hopefully your health. It's a time where you ask God to protect each and every person in your life, around you, and to keep the world safe. Then put your slippers on and walk with God 24/7. Knee mail. It's your personal time with God. I want to just talk about MMA, steroid bus, and some sort of timeline. Josh Barnett, caught in 2002 following his TKO victory over Randy Couture at UFC 36, tested positive for boldenone, nandrolone, and flexomestrone. His punishment at that particular time was a 6-month suspension from the UFC, and he was stripped from his heavyweight title. Barnett fought the steroid charge and didn't compete again in the U.S. until the Pride 32. And in his own words, he said, "I'm a fighter, not a lawyer. I am innocent, and I should be fighting right now." He is a repeat offender. Barnett actually tested positive once before for 2 different anabolic steroids. So he was suspended, and they took his heavyweight title away from you. Next person is Tim Sylvia, caught in 2003 following his first round knockout of Gan McGee in UFC 44. He tested positive for stanozolol. Punishment, $10,000 fine, 6-month suspension from UFC. Sylvia voluntarily vacated his heavyweight title following his positive steroid test. In his own words, after the fight, it was a long layoff for me. I decided to try some things and maybe change my physique, so I tried some steroids. I don't know how that happened. I did it for so long, and I was way off before I fought McGee. I think it found it in my fat cells. I guess it stays in there for a while, huh? I heard what Josh Barnett had used, so I used something totally different, and it was only then that I noticed that I started to trim down on my muscles, and I did not think it was illegal. Kimo Leopoldo, caught in 2004 following his TKO loss to Ken Shamrock, tested positive for stanozolol. Punishment, $5,000 fine and a 6-month suspension from UFC. In his own words, I wasn't quite on par for the fight, and yeah, I did use some substance, and I did do some Winstrol in that fight. But At the time, it was early, and I didn't think it was going to be in my system, but obviously it was, and for that I am truly sorry. I do try to lead by example, so I apologize to the younger viewers that were watching and saw me and were there to catch me. But indirectly, it's good that they caught him, and it's good that the viewers got to see it, because it is stuff like that that is not responsible enough to be anywhere. Nate Marquardt, caught in 2005 following his unanimous decision win over Ivan Slavery at the UFC fight night, tested positive for nandrolone. Punishment is suspension from UFC that was lifted on January 5th after 2 separate follow-up tests came up negative for drugs. In his own words, I never thought it'll be an issue. I'd been taking some over-the-counter supplements at the Max Muscle store. It was something like what Mark McGuire took, and androstenedione. I never thought of that stuff being tested. It was a stupid mistake. People are going to believe what they're going to believe. I apologize. I certainly didn't think it was a drug. You have to watch out for things constantly. We don't always know what not to take, and we always don't know what to take. That's the real gray area. That's my story. Then there's Kimo again. In 2006, 2 days before he was scheduled to fight Bas Rutten, King of the Streets, tested positive for the same thing again. Punishment, he was pulled from the match with Rutten, but received no official punishment. Kimo took a fight in London 2 months after the WFA incident, a submission loss against Dave Logano, and fought in Hawaii just 1 week after that, losing to Wes Sims by TKO. In the words of Bas Rutten, every guy who uses steroids to fight is a effing P word. For him to do this S word is all about the promotion to promote his body, and it's not tolerable. In Kimo's own words, I actually had a prescribed medication that was in my system. I had a knee surgery, and approximately a year ago, I started taking that medication. It was completely prescribed. I was completely done taking it when I found out about this fight. I really believed that it would be out of my system. I knew I was going to be tested after my previous thing with Nevada State Athletic Commission, but obviously it was still in my system, and I'm not sure how it was still in my system, but I guarantee you folks, it was prescribed to me and it was legal. Vitor Belfort, in 2006, following his decision, lost to Dan Henderson. He tested positive for hydrocodone. Punishment $10,005, 9-month suspension from the UFC. In his own words, I bought a supplement called Max Tribotac, and which gave me a lot of pain, and for that the doctor gave me hydrocodone, and I started taking it, and obviously I was addicted to it. Powell Nastula, in 2006, following his submission loss against Josh Barnett, tested positive for nandrolone. Punishment $6,500, 9-month suspension. In his own words, Nastula was denied the veracity of the test results, claiming that the stimulants were absorbed into his system from over-the-counter supplements, and that nandrolone, a mass-building substance, would not have been useful to him, as he did not gain any weight. Stephan Bonnar, 2006, following his second unanimous decision loss to Forrest Griffin, tested positive for boldenone. Punishment, $5,000 fine, 9-month suspension. In his own words, I was desperate. My right elbow had been bad for a while, and I hurt, and I was getting bad for, I was getting ready for Rashad Evans. Right after that fight, I thought I'd have some time off to do some therapy, rehab, and heal. 5 days later, I got a call to fight, and I started taking that, but I thought it was out of my system before the fight. Kid Cope, caught in 2007 following his submission via strike loss to Rob McCall. His punishment was $1,100, 9-month suspension. I don't want to go into reading each and every one of these because they're quite lengthy, but let's go right into the next one. So that one is probably going to be either 2007 or 2008. So let's go right to it. Excuse me. Here we go. Johnny Morton, he was caught 2007 following the loss against Bernard Dynamite. They found in his urine he tested positive for testosterone. It was elevated, $2,500 fine. infinite suspension from the UFC and lost his $100,000 purse. Royce Gracie, 2007, following his win over Kahashi Karupa Dynamite, he was found positive for nandrolone, $2,500 fine, 1 year suspension. Gracie hasn't competed since then. It sounds like to me like he's out of that. I'm just trying to see. Okay, we're getting to George Ortiz following his loss to Jesse Taylor. Again, nandrolone, $2,500. The bottom line here, folks, is that it doesn't matter if you're MMA, and NBA, NHL, NFL, doesn't matter. You take the drugs, you take steroids, you take muscle builders, you get caught, you get suspended, you get fined. You cannot do it. It is not fair to everyone else. So please stay away from drugs. Stay away from alcohol. Stay away from steroids. Stay away from bodybuilding, over-the-counter things. If you're in, even if you're not, but especially if you're competing in sports, because you will be caught. And may God bless you.